Today's AskReddit post. What is a go-to joke you know nobody's heard before? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. What do you call a child born out of incest? A gross domestic product. I am stealing this. Thank you. Saying what everyone in this comment section is thinking. How many bones are in a human hand? A handful. That was unexpected. I loved it. I'm glad you think so. What do you call a little boy who's half French and half Scottish? A wee lad. What do you call a little boy who's half Scottish and half Nintendo? A wee lad. What do you call a little boy who is half masochist and half sadist? A wee lad. What do you call a commercial for tires? A wee lad. What do you call a Scottish boy on a roller coaster? A wee lad. What's the difference between a ribeye steak and a meteorite? One's pretty meaty, and the other's a little meteor. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? One's very heavy, the other is a little lighter. What's the difference between beer nuts and deer nuts? Beer nuts cost more than $1. Deer nuts are just under $1. What's the difference between a dirty bus stop and a crab with fake boobs? One's a crusty bus station and the other's a busty crustacean. This guy is feeling lonely and he decides to get an exotic pet. So he goes to the exotic pet store and looks around and suddenly he sees that there's a sale. Rare giant talking centipede. With house. $100. He decides he wants a talking centipede and takes it home. The guy and the centipede spend several days chatting and drinking beer, and they become good friends. One day, the guy says to the centipede, "Hey, centipede, let's go out to a movie." "Okay." 1 second, the centipede says, and he disappears into his house. 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes, 15, 20. Finally half an hour later the guy goes, "Hey centipede, you ready?" No answer. He taps on the house. "Centipede." Double quote. The centipede pokes his head out and says, "Hang on man, I'm putting my ducking shoes on." So happy that someone else knows this joke. I tell it to practically everybody I see. It's a classic. Same, but my punchline is my quiet little squeaky voice in a very very sad tone saying, "I'm putting on my shoes." My 6-year-old daughter came up with this one last week. Semicolon, which place has the most chairs? Semicolon, the city. She is a genius, we're just too stupid to understand. City equals city. Thank you. I was too dumb to get it. Edit. How did I get this many likes for being dumb? Me too. An elderly couple were in church during the Sunday morning sermon. All of a sudden the wife whispers to her husband, "I've just done a silent fart. What should I do?" The husband replies, "Turn up your hearing aids." "Ah, that's my grandma for real. I just let one." "You think anybody heard it?" "Yeah, pretty sure they did, grandma." How do you make a car top? Tap on the brake, stupid. How do you think the unthinkable? With an iceberg. Stare it into an iceberg. I know several jokes in sign language. I guarantee nobody has ever heard them. You win this thread. Hands down. Hands up. In this case, I got one. What's this? Squeeze his fist open and closed while moving across my face pasteurized milk. I'm hearing, but I know some sign language. The sign for milk is to squeeze your dominant hand open and closed like you're milking a cow. Then for the joke, do it across your face and it becomes past your eyes. What do you get when you cross human DNA with goat DNA? You get kicked the hell out of the petting zoo. As I heard it, you get an investigation, your lab closed down, and immediate suspension of funding. On Sunday I stuck my hand into a feather pillow and had a rummage around. I did the same on Monday and Tuesday. This morning I went to my psychotherapist and told him I've been feeling down for a few days. This one made me audibly laugh. Thank you. I don't get it. Can you please explain? Down is the term for poultry, goose, chicken etc. Feathers used in textiles, like pillows or quilts. Oh, I did not know that. Thanks. I am Buzz Aldrin, the second man to step on the moon. Kneel before me. Nobody laughs at Buzz's moon joke. Guess you had to be there. Oh, a geography joke. This is the only joke I know. A classic dumb blonde joke. A blonde is sitting in a shoe store surrounded by at least 50 boxes of shoes. She says to the shoe salesman, "None of these are good enough. Do you have some alligator shoes?" The exasperated salesman replies with some venom, "Lady, if you want alligator shoes, go get an alligator." Salesman driving home sees the blonde on the bank of the river. She is wrestling an alligator. An epic battle. At last, she throws the dead alligator on top of a pile of alligators next to her. While the salesman looks on in amazement, she says, "Damn, another one without shoes. Those weren't alligators. They were Crocs. Get out." Door slam. I got it from Reddit before, so I don't know how common it is, but it makes me laugh every time it's in basic Spanish. Hablo inglés? Sí. Como se dice un zapato en inglés? A shoe. Salad. Gracious. Should say hablas inglés? Inglés. Methodica. Do I speak it? Perisque no. This joke was in The Sopranos, but I loved it so much. A rich man and a poor man are both buying anniversary gifts for their girlfriends. "What are you getting your girlfriend?" asks the poor man. And the rich man says, "I'm getting her a diamond ring and a Mercedes." "Why both?" asks the poor man. And the rich man says that way if she doesn't like the ring she can still enjoy the Mercedes when she returns the ring. And then the rich man asks the poor man, "What are you getting your girlfriend?" And the poor man says, "I'm buying her a pair of slippers and a dildo. That way if she doesn't like the slippers she can go duck herself." This is pure gold. I'm stealing this. 3 altar boys line up for confession. First one goes in and says, "Bless me, Father. I've committed impure acts with a girl classmate." Priest asks, "Was it Bridget O'Flaherty?" Altar boy says, "I can't say, Father." Priest asks, "Was it Caroline Murphy?" The altar boy says, "Please don't ask, Father." Then the priest asks, "Was it Jennifer Smith?" And the altar boy says, "If I say who it is, Father, she could get a reputation." So the priest says, "Well, what you did was wrong and sinful. It is decent of you to withhold her name. For penance I want you to say 2 rosaries and you can't serve mass for a month." Leaving the confessional, one of the other altar boys asks him, "What did you get?" And he replied, "A month off and 3 good leads." I have actually heard this one. It's one of my dad's favorites, but it's such a good one. How do you titillate an ocelot? You oscillate the tit a lot. How many tickles does it take to make an octopus laugh? 10 tickles. That's only the females. Males laugh quicker. You need to check with a few test tickles. 2 horses were fighting over a hay bale. It was the last straw. Should have brought some straw. A man was passing by a mental asylum and was curious because all the patients were shouting, 14 14 14. Now there was a huge wall that divided the public from the patients, so the man couldn't see what was going on. Because of his curiosity, he naturally wanted to see what was happening. He managed to find a peeping hole to look through. As soon as he looked through the hole, the man was promptly poked in the eye by a stick. That's when all the patients started shouting, 15 15 15. Here's a little lesson in trickery. This is going down in history. I think there's something wrong with the cactus I'm growing, but I can't put my finger on it. Kid comes home from school and says, "Dad, why did you name me Achilles? He is a Greek hero and we have no Greek in our family." "Well, son, you did make it through the Trojan Wall. Shouldn't it be Ulysses?" Then, Achilles died outside, never having made it in. This person epics. An elderly couple was celebrating their 50-year anniversary at the local pub. After a couple of drinks, they started reminiscing about their intercourse life in the earlier stages of their marriage. They remembered one hot and heavy session they had behind the pub, with the husband doing her against the fence. They decided to try it again, to see if they could still do it. A policeman overheard their conversation and decided to follow them outside, as he didn't believe an elderly couple would ever be able to pull off such a maneuver. Lo and behold, the man had his wife up against the fence, going at it hammer and tong with loud moans and screams. When they had finally finished, the policeman had to know their secret and went over to ask. Well, said the wife, the last time we did that the fence wasn't electric. Apostrophe. What's the difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean? I've never had a garbanzo bean on my face. Why do you never see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're pretty darn good at it. Why do elephants paint their balls red? So they can hide in cherry trees. What is the loudest noise in the world? Giraffes eating cherries. I actually know a variation of this one. Why do elephants paint their balls red? So they can hide in cherry trees. How did Tarzan die? Collecting cherries. My girlfriend used to smoke after intercourse. Well, that stopped once we started using lube. Jimmy Carr, is that you? My wife likes to make phone calls while having intercourse. I've learned to stopping answering her. What do you call it when a cow jumps over a barbed wire fence? Utter destruction. Ugh. Shudder. Why did the blind guy fall into the well? He couldn't see that well. Thanks for the silver stranger. 3. Knock knock. Get a warrant. When someone knocks on the bathroom door, best reply is come back with a warrant. Set up. You put your hand on the top of the person's head and move it up and down while leaving your fingers touching their head. Guess what this is? What? A brain sucker. Guess what it's doing? Sucking my brain? Right, single quotation mark. Starving. Old but still a bit funny. What's the difference between an oral thermometer and a rectal thermometer? The taste. A nurse sees a doctor has an oral thermometer behind his ear and questions him about it. Doctor removes and looks at it and exclaims, "Do you know what this means?" "What, doctor?" The nurse says, "Some asshole has my pencil." Double quote. You really gotta hand it to blind prostitutes. If she tells you that you've got a massive cock, she's probably just pulling your leg. She had a great dental plan. 2. The whitest teeth I've ever come across. Kinda ducked up. But where does a suicide bomber go when they die? Everywhere. What's the difference between terrorists and tires? Tires don't blow themselves up. Why is North Korea an evil dictatorship? It has no soul. An elderly couple are in the doctor office. Doctor comes in and says to the old man, "I need a urine sample, a stool sample, and a semen sample." The old man says, "What?" Question mark. His wife says, "He needs your underwear. I think my BF is going to like that one. Allow me to steal it." My favorite is a twist on a well-known joke. What's a pirate's favorite letter? Everyone responds I. You think so, but ye be the C. Ye think it be R or even the C, but a pirate's true favorite letter be X, cause X marks the spot where treasure be. It's clearly P, because without it he's irate. Asked my pirate friend. He said, "I, matey." The Ford F-150 has a towing capacity of 11,500 pounds. That's my best pickup line. Why do North Koreans draw the best straight lines? Because they have a supreme ruler. What side of a chicken has the most feathers? And X200B. And X200B. The outside. What's worse than raining cats and dogs? Hailing taxicabs. Why do some couples not go to the gym? Some relationships don't work out. So I had the worst day of my life yesterday, and my friend told me that it could be worse and that I could be stuck in a hole filled with water somewhere. It's okay, I know he means well. Wow, that took me way too long to get. How do you turn a duck into a soul singer? Put it in the oven until its bill withers. A friend of mine had brain cancer and successful surgery, but he has a hard time remembering jokes now. We were on our way to a party and he asked me to tell him a joke that he could tell when we got there. I told him this joke and he said, "This is a great joke, but I'm going to use a platypus instead of a duck." Later that evening he asked the group, how do you make a eucalyptus sing like a duck? And everyone looked at him like, what the hell are you talking about? And he said oven. I laughed and assured everyone he wasn't having a stroke. Eucalyptus. Did he say eucalyptus or is that autocorrect for platypus? He said eucalyptus. IDK if anyone else knows this one. But here it is. Why do dolphins live in salt water? Because pepper makes them sneeze. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.